Hello everybody. Happy New Year wishes to you all. Welcome at the first session uh, about creating brighter future for PhD students and postdocs, especially in life sciences. So welcome everybody joining me. I know that the time is always a challenging. I think the setting correct time that a lot of people can join, it's always challenging, especially when we think about the sessions as a global session. So people joining from all over the world, but I'm very much welcome everybody. And please in the chat, if you want, share with me from where you actually heading from. That would be really nice to hear. So first of all, I think New Year wishes to you all regarding self-improvement, but also regarding looking for jobs and transition from academia to industry, right? Because that's what actually this channel is also about, how we can create new opportunities, but also new solutions and new perspectives. And I think I think it's important to, if you never had this opportunity, what is the agile mindset? Which would like to experience this, I think I have on my website, and I'm also going to put it after the session in the comment, the link. I have also workshops which will help you to learn about agile mindset, and in this learning by doing workshop you can experience it, so you can right away implement it, and that's what is also important about the agile workshop which I developed as a coach. But for those which are joining new, I'd like to shortly introduce myself, that I am highly driven scientist and entrepreneur, stem cell biologist, entrepreneur, which is which mission is to build interdisciplinary agile impact in regenerative medicine and tissue engineering. That's the field where I operate, where is my niche. I did PhD in stem cells and for postdocs to develop from fundamental knowledge preclinical projects, and that's what I'm heading for also in industry, to create consortia, collaborations between universities globally. So I'm not only here in a way focusing on Netherlands, but actually of whole global ecosystem. And I found this really wonderful to have this limitless ideas about how many universities worldwide are there, and how many, especially more and more, I think that's the trend which is changing already, wants to collaborate with startups to develop innovation and bring the products, in my case, stem cell based medicines, but also biomaterials in terms of successful cellular therapies, or in terms of prototypes which help as a medical devices to help patients improve their life quality. So that's something which I think it's really great to really stay thinking globally and stay developing things in terms of global, more and more global interactions. So with worldwide universities, with worldwide startups. And that's for me very fascinating process, especially when you are a young startup and you're focusing, of course, your interactions locally. So Leiden Bioscience Park, which I'm glad to be as a startup, because it's the biggest and the oldest biotech park in Netherlands, with more than 200 organizations, and that comes from startups, but also companies which are scale-ups and pharma companies, like Johnson Johnson and Galapagos. So that creates very nice ecosystem where startups actually can grow and become scale-ups, and then hopefully established companies. So that's something which which I wanted to say at the beginning. And of course, I'm here also to advocate for PhDs. I'm a PhD myself. I went through for postdocs. I went this academic way, walked this academic way. I learned a lot, but what I was missing in academia by the time I was there as a postdoc was really collaboration. Collaboration, especially interdisciplinary, agile, and that's what also therefore I became agile coach to implement my coaching skills also in setting collaborations, but also setting small consortia. So also performing workshops in small groups was very, very for me important, because when you have small group of participants, you can maximize their performance and learning process, because they have enough quality. They have enough because they represent small group, 5 to 10 participants. So or usually 10. So each of them has sufficient learning time to not only absorb this knowledge, but also know how to implement it, right? So that's why these workshops are important part of learning process, because they're really this learning by doing, very effective model of learning is happening. And it's happening in very interactive way, with a lot of feedback, with a lot of interactions. With a lot of presenting also. So this brings really high energy, but also very interactive learning process. And that's important part, because in this type of cognitive learning, when you just have a textbook and you memorize things, which we used to doing something. So I think that makes it much stronger footprint even in learning process and memory. And that's why this agile became very important factor also for experiencing agile mindset and understanding what does it really mean in practice, or practically, and not in just theory. So that's something which I wanted to bring on first, and discuss with you a lot of things which are happening currently regarding the landscape, global landscape. I think it's quite diverse, because we still have situation where universities don't play yet central role, or in facilitating or supporting role for transition of PhD students and postdocs from academia to industry. And that's talked a lot about this already. So I think you can go back to my previous live sessions regarding particular countries and particular initiatives taken by postdoc, for example, or committees, or students' committees. And I think this is important, that more and more students start to be involved in such committees. So as a committee, as a group, you can, in a way, exert more impact, and which can lead to a change, to improve your situation at universities. Regarding Dutch universities, a little bit commenting what has happening. Sometimes, from time to time, I'm presenting to you some selected articles from Leiden University magazine Mare. This is in Dutch, but there are also articles in English, and these articles I'm bringing very often to as a link, and put it to the comment. But I'd like to talk about some changes which are happening at Leiden University. Last time I talked about academic surveillance, so that's something which I think it's very worrying factor, where scientists from China, Korea are actually screened before they can enter any collaboration with Dutch-based or Dutch university-based scientists. And I think that is sort of a model which we would like to rather not implement. academic surveillance, because that always brings everybody as a usual suspect, especially in terms of scientists. I don't think this helps reputation. And of course, there's many issues happening at Chinese universities. But we have to be also careful in judging every Chinese scientist as a potential suspect, or Korean scientist. And that also is related to professors. I think we have to be very careful, because Chinese culture is very different from European culture. And I would never introduce such surveillance model, which actually has happened to Dutch universities, because this only has huge impact and discouraging China, actually, all different Chinese universities to collaborate and even offer PhD scholarships at Dutch universities. I think that really affected this process, and I don't think this is correct. And this has to do not per se with policy of Dutch universities, but rather policy of Dutch government, and that's something which is quite worrying. But well, we have new government in Holland, more radical, more right, and maybe these things which can be changed. And that I believe that with every new government, that's what actually the year 2024 is also reflecting. So many elections happening worldwide, leading to new governments and new policies, and new type of politics. So hopefully there will be some positive impact and things can change. I think this creates possibilities to change it, hopefully for better. So that's also what one of my global wishes is, that situation in terms of academic surveillance will change at Dutch universities. The other thing which I like to talk from the Dutch regarding Dutch universities, so where I'm based on, is the article for those which are Dutch. It's about begroting nog niet weggestemd tijdens een gespannend debat over de universitaire financiën wist het college van bestuur voorlopig te voorkomen dat de universiteitsraad de begroting voor 2024 tot 2028 afkeurt, maar extra overleg is nog nodig. This article is, I will also give you the translated version in English. It's very important, because there is also, you would expect, I've been in political Dutch party D66, a lot of things happening in politics regarding political decisions. But also at Dutch universities, a lot of politics is going on. And this was actually about approving budget for 2024 to 2028 period. And this budget was actually approved at the last moment, last year. And that's why also this article is touching about a lot about critics about this situation, that such things should not have happened. It's like, you have new budget for new year for in the chamber of parliament, which has to be discussed. So there is enough time to let it be approved. But here things went quite late in order to approve this budget, and that brought quite, I would say, quite severe critic on University Council and board of directors, and also student organizations, which are very present at university and also have their influence. So that was something which I was very much concerned by reading this article. The other thing which was brought in this, it was not only about taking or approving budget at the last moment, for coming years or coming 4 years, but also about investing in lowering work pressure and how to do this, and university strategies to take consultancy firm which is going to reduce work pressure. I think it is something which I found very difficult, especially when you have external company which is helping university on the work pressure, on especially happening at the workflow regarding teaching, education, classes, students. I think company doesn't have really deep insights how to reduce work pressure in academia, because company knows business ecosystem and how to do this. But university is not a company. It doesn't represent even company-like model. So for me, that is kind of very strange type of decision made by university council to implement or to outsource a partner which will help us to decrease work pressure. I think this is more about internal, in a way, debate and internal decision-making process, rather than looking for ready-made solution which comes from industry. I found this completely not fittable in this case. And I think here important is that academic teachers need to simply sit down and discuss how to, with teaching programs, it comes to teaching, reduce work or work pressure, or in terms of maybe of academic research lines, where as an assistant professor you also required to give teaching to discuss it, how we can do this, and maybe within department even, depending on the department, work pressure regarding teaching can be very different. So how we can optimize it, right? In terms of organization, but maybe in terms of at department level. I think that would be more obvious solution than looking for help from and advice from a company-based environment where organization is very different. As I said, then this is the very different organizations operating different than university. So that was for me something which I'd like to share, and I think hopefully there will be still bigger impact in discussions about that, and hopefully even interaction maybe with company will bring short conclusion that well, we it's good to hear some out of the box advice regarding the company setup, but maybe we also should do something as a university, as departments, to solve it. The other thing is, yes, indeed, I also found this very university budget is approved at the last moment, because it looks like it's pushed away. It's pushed. That nobody really wants to, looks like, really take active part in it to discuss budgets related to also, ecosystem, things which are changing or challenging for each university every year. I was quite surprised about that, that there is such delay by many different faculties and departments which are happening. And these fierce discussions come just at the end of the year, because now it has to be done. I think this is not something which we, as also when I look back in terms of research or building projects, it is not something which I would really, it would be smart to do. Usually you should engage people at the beginning of the year in such discussions over the budget for next year, especially if this budget is refers to next 4 years. So more long-term vision of the budget, that's something which you should really do it and engage all the faculties, all departments from the beginning of the year, before the next year budget to be approved. So that's something which I found simply quite surprising, that a university in terms of budget does everything at the last moment. But it's good that, as I said, these articles are brought to light, because normally you would never heard about that. And policies which regarding maybe also budget should be also discussed way more in front of the year than at the last moment. The other thing which I like to comment, and that's actually positive, more positive, especially for starting assistant professors and academic group leaders. It's article Rechten speelt voor Sinterklaas, iedereen krijgt geld. Title's a little bit overwhelming, but important part, which actually good news, financial news coming from this short article is positive, because Minister Robert Dijkgraaf brings, finally, I told you there is a lot of interest about NBOs, craftsman-like education and students, but not too much about postdoc PhDs. But this is actually decision of Robert Dijkgraaf, which is a minister of higher education in Netherlands, to introduce stimulating grants, as I said, for research. And the starters or stimulating grants, especially for new university teachers, but also for group leaders, which I told you a lot of them has teaching duties, is introducing this starters grants in order to help to stimulate research. And I really like that this is not just for this year, but this program will run till 2030. So there will be enough time to also wisely use this budget, use these grants to stimulate research and support research. And of course, since this money is given without any competition, because applying for different research grants, public research grants, it's usually around 30% success rates or even lower, depending on the grant. I think these grants are without really having any type of competitive eligibility criteria. So everybody every assistant professor, especially the new ones, can get apply for this grant without really fierce competition and support their research. So that's why it's a little bit called like money from St. Nicholas. Everybody gets money without actually competition or competing for them. And I think this is positive, important, in a way, stimulating grants or starting grants for young professors, because as soon as they have budget, they can also hire new students and also have money for ongoing PhD or postdoc driven research. So that also can help postdocs and PhD students to support their research projects. So that in that case, this is also positive news for postdocs and PhD students, ongoing ones. Then there is always a lot of things happening here in Netherlands. It's a very small country, but a lot of things is happening. And it's good. It's good that there are new things happening financially. Maybe in terms of academic surveillance, not, but in terms of changes also in education programs to make academic programs more entrepreneurial are definitely big plus. And I'm really happy that this is happening. That I think the movement to introduce more entrepreneurial education started from Faculty of Law, especially regarding bachelor programs, which will be renewed. That's really important. So the message is about rechten gaat in haar vernieuwde bachelor meer vakken aanbieden die gericht zijn op actuele maatschappelijke vraagstukken en studenten strakker begeleiden. My onderwijs hard how ik now introduce for a very long time. I was already talking about this as a startup, how we can introduce entrepreneurial education, because once the students are, it doesn't matter which actually graduates from each department. Once they leave university, how much practical knowledge they have to start their first job. And that's really important, because if they have already a lot of this type of entrepreneurial knowledge, a lot of skills which are entrepreneurial are transferable, so they can use the skills in their first job or to get a job in industry. If we think about transition from academia to industry, I really liked that there's a concept to improve curriculum. So curriculum means teaching programs in terms of bachelors. And hopefully this will also come to masters and PhD students and postdocs, because PhD and postdocs, which I also advocate about this, are also missing this important type of entrepreneurial teaching. And that's why here I'm also, as a startup, of course, very active in it, and also in human capital agenda in Leiden Bioscience Park as an organization for attracting and investing in the international talent. So the vice decan and also teacher Jan Adriaanse and Bastian Rijpkema took actually a great effort to play a role in renewing this program, or turning this program in more entrepreneurial. And important is, I think, the article is presented with questions, and one of the questions, het gaat niet alleen om nieuwe vakken. And Rijpkema is answering, het is een overkoepelende visie over inhoud, studiesucces en meer interdisciplinair opleiden. So definitely there should be more interest and vision which is brought regarding interdisciplinary teaching or training, so that students have more challenging education, right? And not just to remember, pass exam, and get diploma. And this should be a factor, especially interdisciplinary learning, how to think in interdisciplinary way. And experiencing this through teaching program should be of interest for students and create more interesting motivation for them. Also bringing so-called integratiegroepen, so teaching classes with small group of students. That's why I already told you about workshops in small groups. This is very important for each quality time of each student to learn in an effective way, and being given more attention from the teacher, which normally with 200 students is not happening when you recall teaching classes at university, not only Dutch university, but many others. So also bringing in terms of subjects, something which, for example, is interesting, like onderneming and recht, so entrepreneurship and law. I found it really great that indeed entrepreneurship is already brought as a subject. It's not just interdisciplinary thinking, which is important not just for research but also for innovation, and also in terms of agile collaborations also, and how many companies operate also, or startups. So to prepare them for future business ecosystem to work for companies, but also to really bring this entrepreneurship on board. Um, and I really like that this is happening, and this curriculum, this teaching program will be changed. With whole package, of course, they so it's also about mindset, and this which I like the most. It's starting at Faculty of Law, but I hope this also should be spread. I think this is the pilot, but it also should be introduced to other faculties. Also in biology, this is extremely important. I had to learn about entrepreneurship while I stepped into a business ecosystem or Leiden Bioscience Park, reading books, but these guys have also, I found this really fantastic, entrepreneurial. And this will definitely, I'm sure, help students to in a way adjust very quickly to their first job and working for companies for in and adapting to business oriented ecosystem from academia, and help them in transition from academia to industry. So this is something which I wanted to share regarding Dutch Dutch universities and changes which are happening currently. There is many more articles also about students, about student houses, and so on. But I think generally for internationals, housing situation still not improved. And I'd like to also bring, since we talk about agile mindset, it's important always not to just reflect on your situation, but also why, and not just getting angry and upset regarding housing and insufficient numbers of apartments, houses, places to stay while studying in Netherlands. But for those which are expats, it's important to know or plan to study in Netherlands, also doing PhD. You have to realize one thing, that in Holland, this is one of the country with the worldwide, actually, one of the countries worldwide with the highest density of inhabitants. So it's very important here not to be too picky and look for big places to live. It's important to actually be flexible and try to find place maybe with a few colleagues together. Places in student houses are also quite overcrowded, so this is a very different situation. When I was doing PhD in Netherlands, where housing actually was provided by university, and there was not housing problem yet, luckily. But nowadays, yes, that also is referring to postdocs, of course, the ones which get a higher salary compared to PhDs to find a place to live. But you need to stay flexible, and maybe postdocs should find some location or living with PhD students and try to adjust and try to stay flexible in this matter. Because I also noticed there's a lot of people which are very picky and trying to find the best apartment, the biggest. And I think for Netherlands, that's we have to stay pragmatic. What's possible, and more picky you are, more difficult in a way finding a place to stay will be. And regarding also the housing, what I wanted to say, so I lived in sometimes very small student rooms or very small student houses. Even as a PhD student, I moved, I think, 3 times through my PhD. Because I was always flexible, it helped me a lot. So I was also not too picky. and that help enough to. I also network a lot, so that also is not about only career, but also about finding place to live, and that helped me actually to find a little bit slightly bigger room or um, mm, uh, studios, which are also which you share also still with somebody, but these are for two people, for example. Um, so that's something which I wanted to share because I think a lot of people never experiencing living in Netherlands in very small countries, actually phenomena, how is to live in such overcrowded cities, places, and how to develop high tolerance, right, for your neighbor. So in Holland, there is also something which is called samenleving. I'd like to also bring it on. Samenleving is actually certain types of, I would say, not really officially written rules, but it's how to interact with your neighbors and people, especially when you live in overcrowded places. And important part of this phenomena is that samenleving is about realizing that you live in society, you're part of society, your street is part of society, your neighbors are part of society. So it's important to develop very open-minded, especially in Netherlands where there's so many different nations and religions, so multi-culti environment, not only high tolerance but understanding that yeah, somebody just next to you lives there, and also that we share the space. It's not just, even we bought the house and we have a, for example, beautiful garden, and but this garden maybe is of course neighboring with a garden of the neighbor. We still share the common space, right? It's divided, but it's still open space. Not everything is ours, which we share, and it's important to stay relatively yeah, I would say apply to the rules. So after 10, don't make parties, don't be loud. In case of parties, inform our neighbors in front. All this very, as it very nice rules, which typically are actually happening in hotel rooms or in the hotels. But the same applies when you live in Netherlands, to not in a way uh, take it for granted that something which is officially yours, this means that you can misbehave, like you would live only alone on the street and no other people are there, or you are just imagining that you have one house on the street and there are no other houses, no other apartments, no other people walking by and living there. I think it's important to understand, yes, there's I have my own house, my own apartment, but still there are other neighbors which also have their own apartments or share apartments or rent, and we all are this mixture. Living on one street should apply to the rules so that we stay relatively quiet and live in a peaceful mm, mm, environment. Even we don't have to really talk to our neighbors. In big cities, that's very different than from villages, but I know some of my neighbors, even living in the city in Hague, which is more than 500,000 people. So people are very open, very friendly, and I think very international. And more open-minded you are, you will experience on daily basis living in Netherlands as a happy person. But people which think, oh, I want to have 100 square meters apartment, I think they have to reconsider that this is not something which is common in Netherlands, and these aspirations for housing also have to be tamed here. So that's what I wanted to say a little bit about housing, because I noticed that a lot of people really don't understand the idea of samenleving, but also what it is about, and how you should behave in Netherlands. You are guests. Even I have double nationality. I also respect Dutch culture. I'm married to a Dutch person, and I'm very much respecting also mm, mm, uh, their rules in a way, or their requirements, and trying to find something in the middle. So that I don't react in a way or boycott any rules which are need to be obeyed in Netherlands. And that regards also to when I'm driving in Netherlands as a driver and stepping in the car. I'm also obeying the rules. Netherlands is a very well organized country with a lot of rules. Some people are complaining on it. I don't, because of these rules we have a very well functioning country on daily basis. So that's something which, and that's also related to waste, to environment. In that case, everybody who likes to follow rules will feel in Netherlands really good, because a lot of people is obeying rules, and that's really important when you live in such a Dutch small society, especially when you're international. And I think, as I said, don't forget that you are a guest in this country. And as soon as you decide to live, also respect me as a Polish. I also respecting Dutch system rules, and not boycotting them or abusing them. And the same regards to Dutch people and Dutch culture. I think we have to learn a lot from our cultures, and that's what makes our life even more enriched. And that's a beauty. It doesn't matter where you live, especially when you're expat. You have to pay attention to this. And if you learn Dutch language, that also helps for transition from academia to industry, especially Dutch-based industry. This is also important to change this mindset. It's also a way of thinking, but also a way of doing, to become respectful. And also learning language, making effort helps to make such transition way more successful, but also in my case as a startup also helps to create more business opportunities and more collaborations. So that's something which I like to bring today for this session. The other thing which I wanted to bring is, during the sessions, of course, I talk a lot, right, about possibilities, workshops, agile mindset, transition, process, mentors, role of mentors. So that's something which I think for this year is also important. Keep looking for mentors. If you don't know how to find them, if you don't know how to start to find a job industry during transition, I'm also agile coach. I'm advocate, PhD for PhDs and postdocs and PhD students. So if you decided to make transition to from academia as a PhD student, because you're finishing already PhD or postdoc to an industry, I'm also happy to offer you one-to-one coaching. So this is something which I think it's good to mention. The other thing is that I also thought about some exercises to a little flavors of agile mindset. I will organize sort of online boot camps this year for internationals. Before I was performing these boot camps with American life coach, but this time I would do just way more targeted boot camps regarding agility, agile mindset. So not only workshops, but also boot camps, way shorter, meaning way shorter boot camps. So I will also, when I will organize boot camps, publish this on LinkedIn. I think that's the quickest to learn when this boot camps will be happening. So if you would be interested already in participating in such boot camps, there will be paid boot camps. And this will be boot camps in small groups, 5 to 10 people. So this is something which I like to bring on, especially at the beginning of the year, regarding planning such boot camps. And the other thing regarding boot camps, there will be also, I will again talk about agile team building. Identify, not only boost your personal strengths and identify them in agile setting, but also how to, or in a startup. So this important team building skills, especially regarding industry, are very important, especially when you scientists which want to make transition from academia to industry. So that's Agile Team Building Workshop. It is also on my website. So also we're going to give the link for that. If you didn't see yet my website or you are new joining the sessions. And the other thing is it's a Shape Your Leadership workshop. That's for people for PhDs, which I also recognize here as could be prominent group, the one which have aspirations to become C-level. Having PhD actually allows you to apply also for C-level, so top manager groups. And if you have such aspirations to be CEO or, for example, chief scientific officer, one of my colleagues being postdoc was approached by the company to become a chief scientific officer. So that's the C-level high management jobs. I think it's important to also perform workshop, which is Shape Your Leadership. So develop your personalized leadership style and identify yourself as a growing, emerging leader. I think that's important playground which is happening during these workshops, and I think that's the best time to actually experience workshop in terms of a playground, especially testing your and identifying your personal leadership style. Everybody have a different leadership style because we're all very different, so we have different qualities. So that's something which I like to tell you and offer you in terms of workshops at a live streaming session. And I will be also running for universities this time more introduction for global pre-incubation program for academic scientists in life sciences and health. And this program I already talked about last year, which I developed together with Donald Furget, managing director of Finis Group in US. And co-founder of Fluent. But this program I will also present to universities, but everybody from you guys which are interested to also, that's another option, apply or start your own company. We offer with Donald as a entrepreneurs representing startup and IP based company in US specializing in life sciences. We offer global pre-incubation program. And about this program, it's a program where shortly I can say, I already also will bring the link under, because I talked about this program shortly, but we performed numbers of webinars last year about this program to make a short introduction to it for individual scientists, but we also would like to present it at universities. And if you're interested in this program, joining this program, just let me know. This is, as I said, program for people which would like to learn about entrepreneurship, life sciences, but also how to create IP-based business, especially when you want to develop your science into innovative product and bring it to the market, how to set up company, how to apply by using Agile and build a team, and how how to quickly actually learn about, in a time efficient way, about patenting and trademarks, which are important in business, especially when you develop your innovation in life sciences. Which is this program information about this I will also put, as I said, in the comments. And if you have any other questions, because these sessions are also to discuss also everything which is happening to your career path, or all the issues maybe you have challenges. Please also put these challenges in the chat or contact me. On YouTube, you can find my LinkedIn, but also my website. So you can contact me through website, through LinkedIn. So we can also see how we can talk about these challenges also during these sessions. I think it's also important that a lot of challenges which you guys have, we may also talk on at these sessions. Of course, keeping names anonymous, but talking about general naming these issues is also important to start with. Talking about this is the first step, and developing potential solutions together. I think that's why this also live sessions are about, so that I also, not only I talk about challenges globally in different countries, also in Netherlands, for expats, for PhD students, for postdocs, and presenting possibilities and scenarios, and discussing also problems and challenges, but also that you guys bring these problems to the table. I'm very happy to hear about these problems, to hear about these challenges, and discuss with you also as a growing community how we can solve it, of course, in a stepwise manner, so step by step. So that's something which I'd like to share with you today, and again invite you to empower this live sessions, to join and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So hopefully more and more people can join the sessions from all over the world. That is my ongoing dream. And hopefully this dream will turn into reality this year. So please keep subscribing. This doesn't cost anything, and we can really create more and more opportunities, more bigger community we have on this channel. So looking forward to your comments, questions, challenges. Please put them in the comment online. If you like the sessions, or what you would like to actually, maybe you have some suggestions to bring in the session. So these sessions also become your sessions. That's also important, that we co-create the sessions together. So thanks a lot for listening, for attention, and see you next time. And all the best again, my wishes. Stay motivated, stay positive, and keep networking and finding new mentors. So happy to be on this session in this new year. Today is also very beautiful weather, and today I'm also for the first time since New Year in Leiden Bioscience Park. So I'm double happy because flu didn't allow me to really join before and run and also bring live sessions earlier. So sorry for this delay, but I hope you appreciate and that I'm here with you, and see you next time. Bye.